In your book, one of the main things that you start with in part one, since you just brought up James Clear and we're just talking about Robin, is relentless routines, which is something that they both talk about, which ties exactly to what you said. A lot of times when people think about the word passion struck, they think of, oh, this person has got so much passion, they're ready to conquer the world. And when I think of the word and I talk to people who I know are passion struck, whether it's been Derek Jeter or Robin or Mark Benioff from Salesforce or others, what they don't realize is that passion and pain are linked. And discomfort is the thing in between that's required for your new identity to emerge. And I think people don't realize how important this is because if you're going to change that routine, it's going to come with a lot of discomfort along the way. So, for someone who's listening today, and you said this idea of you just have to start, what is the first thing that they can do to embrace that discomfort?
I think it's pretty much an identical answer to when I get the question of what drives students in the first few days or weeks of BUDS or SEAL training, the ones that are successful, obviously. How do they embrace that deep, almost unimaginable degree of suffering while and then ultimately are successful in that endeavor? It's the same thing adopting a new routine or eliminating a bad habit or overcoming addiction. It's doing two things simultaneously that applies to every category I just mentioned. One is maintaining an emotional connection to the long-term vision of what you're trying to accomplish. So what is the desired outcome or outcomes I am trying to accomplish? That's why they have to be meaningful. It has to be purpose-driven. Otherwise, you will not emotionally connect to them and you will fall off. So if it's something that means something to you, like being a better husband, improving my marriage, being a better parent, who doesn't want to do that? Being a better founder and CEO and growing my business. Obviously, any entrepreneur wants to do that. So having that connectivity, but the other piece of that and doing these things simultaneously is also not just accepting the pain, the obstacles, the suffering, the anxiety, or the little voices inside our head that tell us that, hey, maybe this isn't the path. And you start to justify that maybe you should dial the throttle back a little bit. Not just being accepting of the pain, but leaning into the pain, embracing the pain, because it's a critical, fundamental part of going down this path. It's required. And therefore, once we shift our mindset to understanding this pain or the suffering or the discomfort that I'm feeling is absolutely part of this journey. Everybody who's gone down this same path felt the same pain and suffering. Lean into it, use it as fuel for your journey and learn from it. And then the more you have that mindset, the more you lean into it, those things that seem seemingly impossible or caused you deep suffering, it starts to alleviate. And then you can really push the boundaries further and further so that the things that used to cause you a lot of anxiety or that caused you a lot of fear are just part of your normal everyday life and routine. And therefore, okay, let's go find the next big challenge and let's lean into that one. And you do it again and again. And I'll tell you, and I know you know this, but it's when you can really embrace that sort of philosophy and intentionality of comfort zone expansion, a lot of things in your life just seem to organically fall into place.
Oh man, you're absolutely right. Something you just said made me think of Mark Devine, who you probably know,
I
since
was
he's one
just
of
on
your.
a show a couple weeks ago.
I know he lives there in San Diego.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Mark a couple years ago when we were talking. We happened to be talking about buds and how we got through, and he had three steps in it. But one of those steps was visualization, and this is something you also talk about in the book. Why is this visualization so important?
It's a powerful tool. And actually, in one chapter, I start by talking about the philosophy of manifestation, which I jokingly refer to. I'm like, I can't believe I'm even writing about this. I think of sitting crisscross applesauce with gyms and chanting and things like that. But really, we're talking about vision, having a very clear vision of what you're trying to accomplish, which again falls into that category of we all, yes, intellectually understand some element of why that's important. But having a very clear vision of what that outcome is that you're trying to accomplish. So let's go back to overcoming addiction. What am I actually trying to do? Yes, there's health benefits that I've heard about, or I'm not going to get yelled at by my wife as much, or whatever the outcomes, as much was a key part to that. Whatever the outcomes are, just like a business strategy or an exit strategy for your company, what does it look like? What is the time bound nature of that goal? What does it feel like once I've accomplished that goal? Or if it's a continued state of improvement, then, what are those milestones that I need to hit and what's it going to feel like when I hit them? What is my identity going to look like from the outside in and inside out when I start to achieve some of those milestones? So being really specific, very concise, and very measurable in your thinking of what does achieving that goal look like? And when I do achieve it, what's next? What is that next plateau? And what is that next milestone that I'm going to set once I've achieved that goal? And so that's really what vision is all about. And we're not talking about vision boards and magazine cutouts and things like that, but to a certain degree, literally identifying and even documenting what is this outcome going to, what types of change in my life is this outcome going to impact personally, professionally, in my relationships. And that's really what we're talking about, because with that level of clarity, then you can operationalize it. Then you can put a plan alongside that vision. You can start to chip away at it and hit some of those milestones, those benchmarks. So there's measurable progress towards it. But just thinking about it, be like, I want to become this, or I want to do this. That's not a plan. And if you don't have a plan and it's not measurable, it ain't a goal. I'm sorry. And you will not achieve it.